cold at the touch, dead in the eyes, no signs of life no more. I put your love under the knife. Leave me to die here all alone. No signs of life no more, no. A crying dove may never fly. Black and white. Yeah. Black and white. Oh, 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 oh. It's black and white. Black and white, just let me go. It's only right. For all I know, it's only matter. It's calico, it's black and white. White, white, white. Just let me go. It's only right. For all I know, it's only matter. It's calico, it's black and white. White, white, white. Black and white. Yeah. Black and white. Oh, 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 oh. It's black and white. It's black and white.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Absolute Sim Racing, where the stage is set for the penultimate round of the BSR SIM3D MX5 trophy. I'm Ed May. Joining me in the commentary booth, as ever, is Alex Everett here at the wonderful Oulton Park circuit, situated in the picturesque park of Little Budworth in Cheshire, a circuit that has been around for almost 70 years and retained much of its motorsport heritage and charm, even with developments through the years, and is set to be the venue for the second to last round of this season's championship. A championship that, I must add, is going right down to the wire, with 4 drivers definitely in with a shout come the end of the season. And, well, if anything's to go over from previous racing experience here at this circuit, we could be in for a cracker with some big championship implications as well. Because of how narrow the circuit is, difficult to pass, the racing can sometimes spill over the confines of the track and into the barriers. We hope everyone has a clean race, but of course, all bets are off when the cars get to the start line for the first race. Alex, good to have you back in the comms box, and I know you love Oulton Park. What's your expectations going into this round?
Oh, thank you for having me back. Yes, I'm just sat here admiring the layout of Oulton Park here. No chicanes, so it's going to be high-speed action. High speed for MX5s anyway, action at this track. It is my favourite track in Britain, that's for certain. Yeah, we're definitely going to see some very close action-packed racing tonight. A few off tracks here and there, a couple of drivers going wide because of how fast this track actually can be. Although it's quite a short track of only 2.6 miles, it's quite narrow as well. So in these cars that are prone to understeer, there's going to be a lot of people running wide, as we see a few cars blasting past us right now, actually running off wide in their first 2 minutes of qualifying here. Yeah, with the championship down to the wire, I don't think it's going to be decided tonight. Definitely not. Going into next week, we could see a make a break for some drivers. It's going to be very interesting, that's for certain.
Yeah, like you said, Casper de Court leads the championship so far, but Adam McNally did close the gap down last time out at Road Atlanta. Definitely a driver on form. If he's able to get the qualifying in order this time around, he'll definitely be up there come the final round. Only 8 races to go in this season. They do fly by, even though they're 15 minutes long. Each race seems to get quicker and quicker as the season progresses, which means that we need to really appreciate the racing while we can before they hold it again next season, which hopefully we'll be able to bring you on Absolute Sim Racing as well. Adam McNally then, the 478 driver, second place in the championship behind Casper de Court. Just getting through the first laps of qualifying, making sure they get banker laps in, because as you quite rightly mentioned, Alex, off tracks are killer on this circuit. You're going to watch Casper down through Cascades, and I think you might have run just a little bit too wide there. It didn't look like much. I think that was maybe just a touch too excitable on the throttle coming out of turn 3 there. So again, just shows the margins the drivers have to work with. Going to go back now to Adam McNally, see what he can pull off. However, that was very quick in practice on the Monday. What can he do on the Tuesday, though, when it all counts? Coming up through Deer Leap, out to Lodge Corner across the line. What is it going to be for Adam McNally for his first effort in qualifying? He goes fast. It's the pole time with a 1:41.785. And I said before we came live, didn't we, Alex, that I think a lap time around about a 41.8, 41.5 could be enough for pole time because of the track limits. And you know what? Adam McNally's immediately started to set the pace.
Yeah, throwing down the gauntlet straight away there. And as you said last time out at Road Atlanta, McNally really did struggle to get the pace in qualifying in the 15 minutes, which isn't much at Road Atlanta. It's quite a long lap in these MX5s, as we saw. It's quite a long lap here, actually. But yeah, straight away out of the blocks, very, very well done indeed. But there's a long way to go for these drivers, and as we mentioned earlier with the off tracks, only 8 people on the board, and we're a third of the way through now. Make that 9, 10 people on the board. 5 minutes into qualifying so far. There's a lot of off tracks going on. More than half the grid haven't set a time yet, so this is going to be very, very interesting as we see Casper de Court put himself into second place, just half a tenth behind his championship rival McNally.
Yeah, Casper de Court and Adam McNally inseparable as they are on the track, as they are in the championship standings, which makes this fight all the more tasty, all the more exciting to hopefully be underway in about 10 minutes' time as Jason Cooper, 5-Star Motorsport, another driver who, with drop rounds in the mind, could definitely be a favourite in the final round when all of the points have been sorted out. So don't count out Jason Cooper as Michael Seal shoots to the top of the timing sheets in his new livery, driving for Ignium Motorsport on his season debut for Ignium, doing a very good job indeed, top of the timing sheets. Let's not forget, he's a Pro-Am, but with performances like this, he could be getting bumped up next season because he was impressive as well last time out. Let's not forget that, Alex.
Yeah, it was a very, very good result back at Road Atlanta. I think it was race 4. Actually, he was contending at the top of the grid. Impressive round at Road Atlanta for Michael Seal. A couple of races in Road Atlanta actually didn't go quite his way, but overall a good points haul in the Pro-Am category for himself.
Yeah, definitely that Pro-Am championship wide open. So many drivers could come through to take it at the end. Lee Holmes being one of them. You can see him down in 5th place overall as Jason Cooper shoots to the top of the timing sheet with a 1:41.3, absolutely blowing the time of Michael Seal and Adam McNally out of the water by 4/10. Rapid pace shown by last season's champion, and this is why he is looking like a candidate to try and retain the crown this time around, because just he is operating at another level, especially towards this latter stage of the season. At the start, he started to falter a bit, but now this is the Jason Cooper that is driving like a champion.
Yes, stunning lap indeed. We said the gauntlet was thrown down by McNally at the start, with Casper de Court getting very, very close, but Cooper plays another card that makes this whole table all the more exciting as Griffiths puts himself into 4th place going around Old Hall now, the driver of TJ Motorsport, not too far off the pace of that of 2nd place, so just a little bit more push on a few more laps here could see him into the top 2. But again, going back to Michael Seal, the Pro-Am category, usually these drivers are placed into these categories based on I-rating or how they perform in qualifying rounds, etc, etc, but usually the Pro-Am category drivers are considered slower. It's a bit of a tentative term to use, but usually the Pro-Am category drivers are slower, and for Michael Seal to do that is rather impressive against pro drivers.
Yeah, classifications, of course, like you mentioned, done off of I-rating for new drivers and previous season performances from old favourites from the years gone by in the BSR community. Michael Seal's been around for a few seasons now, has definitely shown the capabilities to be a top-level Pro-Am driver. Maybe this is the season that he makes that jump up from Pro-Am into Pro. Watching James Clark as well, what an effort from him to go 2nd fastest. Pro driver that hasn't been getting the best fortune, not the best luck this season. Definitely shown glimmers of pace, and maybe towards the end of the season he can go on and bag a good result. Looking at drivers not out in qualifying, several serving penalties, exclusions. We've got Liam Suxton, Douglas Stewart, Adam Delmont, Mark Oliver, Dave Chapman, Andy McEwen, Julian Schroett, Fiona Sins and Lars Fisher all not taking to the track. They're going to be starting all the way towards the rear of the field. These drivers now come in just before the 5-minute mark for their fresh set of boots before their final run in qualifying. Jason Cooper making his way onto the track. Are we going to see another performance that we saw last time out at Road Atlanta in qualifying? Obviously 5-Star Motorsport working together brilliantly to get their cars all up towards the front of the field. There's a slide in the background, not sure who that was. Looked like one of the Swift Cooper Esports drivers going down through the Cascades. Cool tyres, easily done, especially if you've got a setup that's a little bit leery into the first 2 corners on the first lap. Mark Oliver then 88 Tech, whereas he's not even set a lap time yet, so 99 is going to be hoping to improve a little, make sure he's not starting right the way backwards. Also in the AM class, driver's not out on the circuit yet, but Simon Robson topping that little battle up inside the top 10.
Yeah, not bad actually from Simon Robson. had an interesting meeting last time out at Road Atlanta. It was a close battle between him and Glenn Humberston towards the end of the night last time out, which was quite good to watch, as Robson is back out on track now as we see him coming down towards the Cascades, ready to set another time. But top 10 for Robson at the moment. Should be very pleased with that in his bid for AM category honours.
Yeah, it is all about the AM Championship. There's so many championships that are theoretically wide open for the taking. At this late stage, you can't afford any mistakes. Any non-finishers now will almost certainly be a death blow to your title hopes, should you be just maybe a few points off to your top spot. Actually having a look down towards the AM Championship, and it is a titanic fight between Glenn Humberston and Simon Robson. Two of them separated by less than 100 points, and with drop runs to account for, I think that gap is even closer, which is very exciting to think about. Watching Casper de Court, championship leader, let's not forget, all the way down in 6th place. I say all the way down, 6th place is still going to be a good result for him, but you know he's going to be hoping for that little bit more. He's getting some slipstream from the car ahead. His teammate, I believe that to be Jason Cooper, getting a little bit of assistance from. Surprised Jason Cooper so willing to help out Casper, considering these two are theoretically, and probably with the drop rounds, going to be battling each other right at the end for top honours.
Yeah, it's always tricky for a driver to help out a teammate when they're actually in a championship battle. Take Rosberg and Hamilton, one of the most notable teammate championship battles in recent times. But I suppose the 5-star motorsport drivers will see it as well, as long as there is a 5-star motorsport driver on that trophy at the end. That's all that matters. But when it comes down to that final race, I'm sure they'll be going hammer and tongs for that name carving on the trophy. And you can see Casper de Court is really pushing really well on this lap, actually reeling in Cooper just a little bit by bit on each of these corners here. He's come through Druid's corner now, not taking much of the curb on the inside, but it's a double apex corner. Looking very smooth indeed. Here is Casper de Court, and you can just see how little how smaller the gap is getting between the windscreen wipers of the Court and the bottom of the wheels on Cooper's car ahead. That's how you can tell it's getting closer and closer between these two, and this could be a special lap from de Court. Let's see what the time is when he comes across the line. Goes second by quarter of a second behind Cooper still, but what a lap to get both 5-star motorsport cars onto the top 2 steps in the grid.
Locking out the front row, very good from 5-star motorsport, but that shows just how special that lap was from Jason Cooper right towards the start of the session. He had no real tow, no real help, yet still went through to set a 1:41.33. An amazing lap time from Jason, and doesn't seem that anyone's even able to beat it, because Casper de Court, even with a massive amount of slipstream, isn't able to usurp him from the top of the standings. So we did see a driver make a little mistake coming out of Lodge corner, wheel onto the grass on the exit, spearing right and down into the wall. There it is. Jason Cooper then, what can he do? He's getting a little bit of assistance now, all the way down Hilltop Straight, down in towards Knickerbrook, a corner where you can make or break your lap time. Just chuck the car in, 2 wheels up in the air. Maybe not optimal for Jason Cooper, but it's definitely carrying a lot of speed through the right-hander. Then obviously go up through Clay Hill in towards Druids. Just fully send the car, hit the first apex, get on the power nice and early. You can sort of avoid the final apex depending on how early you get on the power, and Jason Cooper actually gets out of the way, allows Casper de Court on by to see if there's a little bit more time to be found. There's setting a purple sector actually in the 5th sector by Casper de Court. So keep your eyes open as he comes across the line. No improvement, so must have been an off track somewhere. And then Jason Cooper, what can he do? One final tour of the Oulton Park circuit. Was that a little bit too wide, or was that just on the money? He's kept going on the lap, which probably shows that it's good for him. Down now through Cascades. Very careful to not pick up the off track on the exit. Maybe a little bit too careful, not getting the optimal run down towards Island Bend. where you do just chuck the car in, balance it on the throttle, don't want to lift off, brake too much, carry it through, hard on the brakes, car struggling a little bit for rear end grip as you turn it in, using the camera to help you out, down into first gear to get that extra bit of revs, to get that extra grunt, all the way down now through up hilltop. Slipstream working in Jason Cooper's favour now. This could be a very special lap time. Personal best first sector, personal best second sector, purple in the third. Sectors 4, 5 and 6 still to come. Down into Knickerbrook and then up through Clay Hill. What times are coming through from Jason Cooper now? What can he do to snatch back pole position or even improve on pole position? Gaining hand over fist on Casper de Court, who makes a mistake into Druids. You can see him in the wall there. No further improvements for Casper de Court on the cards, but what can Jason, his teammate, do? Up into Lodge Corner for the final time in this qualifying session. He's already got pole. Can he seal the deal? Can he stamp his authority even more than he already has done on this qualifying session? Racing up to the line. What's it going to be from Jason Cooper? Crosses the timing beam, and it is an improvement by 0.03 of a second. Jason Cooper goes faster. James Clark also improves to go second fastest, ruining the front row lockout for 5-Star Motorsport. He's going to be well chuffed with that.
Wow, that was an impressive final part of qualifying there for James Clark. Split the 5-Star Motorsport cars on the timing board and using their draft for most of the lap. That is something that Casper de Court and Jason Cooper might be kicking themselves about. But qualifying's one thing, the race the other. But nonetheless, good qualifying session from Cooper.
Brilliant stuff from Jason. Championship victor last time out, reigning champion. Can he secure or maybe get one hand on the trophy after Oulton Park? Well, we'll certainly be looking to find out as Mark Oliver goes around for his final effort in qualifying and hasn't been able to get a clean lap in. I think he's a little bit too late as well to get a clean lap in this time either. So Mark Oliver, even though he's been taking part in qualifying, the off-tracks just proved too difficult to try and overcome. He's going to be starting towards the back of the grid, unfortunately.
Yeah, only 20 drivers actually put a time in, but I believe we're about to go through the grid for our opening race of the night, Ed.
Yeah, only 20 drivers set a lap, but 29 will take to the grid. And here is the first of them, Jason Cooper, pole position on the front row with James Clark up alongside him. Casper de Court for 5-Star Motorsport in third with Adam McNally alongside him, the championship protagonists, first and second as it stands. Wheel to wheel into turn one. You do not want to miss that. Before we come down to the third row, Michael Seal, first of the Pro-Ams in fifth, ahead of Tom Griffiths, with Lee Holmes in seventh. Luke Cooper, eighth, ahead of James Neve, and Simon Robson, the Am driver, who rounds out the top 10. Andy Thompson, then, the Pro-Am driver, starts 11th, ahead of Glenn Humberston. Craig Cockrell, 13th. Nick Clemens, 14th. Ryan Main and Sam Smith lining up alongside each other, 15th and 16th. Ahead of Ashley Stimpson, Harley Moss, Craig Schill, Brian Stewart, Dave Chapman, Lars Fisher, Adam Delmont, Andy McEwen, Liam Silkstone, Douglas Stewart, Mark Oliver, Fiona Sins, and Julian Schroer. Makes 29 to take to the grid here at Oulton Park. Cars getting ready, and the action certainly set to hot up. The second to last round is about to get underway. First of 8 final races for the drivers this season. You can see the lights coming on. We're getting ready for the action at Oulton. 29 drivers into turn one. Jason Cooper from pole position gets away very nicely. Clark on the inside, the slightly dirtier line, bogs it down a little bit off the start. Has to cover the inside to fend off Casper de Court, who did get away very nicely. Runs a little bit wide off the exit. James Clark potentially under pressure as they come down through turn 2 into Cascades. Wheel to wheel for the front. Casper de Court, I think, has just gotten ahead of James Clark. Yes, he has. So it is now 5-Star 1 and 2. McNally has also gotten through on Clark. So Clark forced wide through Cascades. All of a sudden, that's put him way out of shape. And down the order, cold tyres as well, not working in his favour, kicking up a little bit dust on the inside. Through Island Bend was our race leader, Jason Cooper. Casper de Court in second. Casper de Court ahead as Jason Cooper's had an off. Jason Cooper plummeting down the timing sheets. He's made a mistake, an uncharacteristic, a rare error from last season's champion. And what on earth happened here coming out of Shell Oils?
We'll take a look very shortly, but that is a very, very big mistake indeed. One that might come back to haunt him later in the championship. So the Court breaks away in the lead, and a good start for McNally sees him up 2 places. And let's take a look at what actually happened to Jason Cooper as we missed it, looking at something further back, and he lost it himself. Just seemed to cold tyres on the rear and maybe getting the gears down a little bit too low just brought the rear end round, Ed.
Oh dear, so just a little bit too eager. Cold tyres, he tries to use the camber to his advantage, doesn't work out for him, but using the sudden space up in front to his advantage, Adam McNally goes down the inside. Casper de Court didn't have Jason Cooper to slipstream off of, which made that move all the more easier into Lodge. So now the first lap in the books, it's not going to be Jason Cooper, it's not going to be Casper de Court, it's going to be Adam McNally to lead the first lap across the line.
Dream first lap, 4th to 1st place. Brilliant for McNally. But who'd have predicted this? There's a spin back there. That's Michael Seal. Spins it coming out of the old hole corner. And drops down a few places, but gets away safe and sound. Although it was a little bit of a risky rejoin right in front of Adam Delmont there. But Michael Seal.
Main as well.
It was, yes. And the good work done in qualifying undone for Michael Seal there, rather unfortunately. But still, very exciting at the front here between three drivers from 3 different teams.
Well, this is what we were hoping for. A good little tussle at the front between 2 championship protagonists, Adam McNally, Casper de Court. And as they come down the hilltop straight, we're going to see a little replay. This is going through the island bend. And what happens here? Oh, there's a tap just on the rear end. Adam Delmont spinning around the 66 main, gets sent for a bit of rallycross over on the grass. Gets back up and running though. Adam Delmont, I think, does actually concede the position to Ryan Main after all of that, which is good sportsmanlike driving.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's always good to see when a driver knows they've messed up a little bit, caused a bad result for another driver. They slow down to let him by. It's very good sportsmanship from Delmont, that's for certain.
McNally then continues to lead as the second lap is in the books, but Casper de Court is right up his rear bumper as they come now down towards Old Hall Corner. Are we going to see a move to the inside from Casper? No, doesn't opt for it, but sits in behind. He has the advantage, let's not forget. Tune of, I think, 150 points is de Court's advantage to McNally, so a second place would still do him enough for the championship. But you can bet that when he sees the chance for a win on the cards, he is going to go for it, as will, of course, Adam McNally. Simon Robson then up towards the top of the AM category. Very good opening lap from Simon. Started in 10th, all the way up into 8th already, capitalising on some mistakes from the top runners, Michael Seal and Jason Cooper dropping back down, but he's maintaining his pace, which is good to see. Sometimes drivers can over-qualify and fall backwards in the race, but that's definitely not the case for Simon.
Yeah, good stuff for the AM category driver. Into 8th place and quite a few places ahead of Glenn Humberston, which will make him happy. He'll have one eye ahead of him, one eye on his relative, making sure his AM category rivals are behind and getting further behind. So we'll see how he gets on, and very good from Lee Holmes as well. He's 1st place in the Pro-Am category, 5th place overall, quite a few places ahead of his nearest rival, Andy Thompson, who has just moved up to 8th place, I believe, fighting with Simon Robson. They are in different categories, so it's a case of here of which race do you need to be fighting, but they do battle very, very safely as they go through Druids there.
Yeah, good, clean fighting. Don't want to see any scary moves down into Druids, who've found that doesn't tend to end very well when Rose for late lunges down the inside. Glenn Humberston fighting with Craig Cockrell. Craig, who gets the better run out through Lodge Corner, up through Deers Leap, retains that position. Casper de Court now into the lead ahead of Adam McNally, running slightly wide out of Old Hall, but nothing too dramatic. Maybe a 1x, nothing further than that. Clark was looking to put a bit of pressure actually on McNally, but McNally held firm down through Cascades and maintains order for the time being as we have a replay. This was the move down the inside into Old Hall Corner. Casper de Court late on the brakes, lunges down the inside And McNally, he was wise to let that happen. Plenty of time in the race still to go. 9 minutes on the clock still remain.
I just love the Shell Oils corner there. A high banked hairpin corner beside the lake here at Oulton Park. Just a brilliant track we're witnessing here. And choice layout, I thought. The first thing I said to you as soon as we popped in the comms box here, Ed, is what a layout of Oulton Park this is. We're seeing high-speed action from these MX5s, but it's actually proving difficult for them because there's not many braking zones. It's actually very tricky for these drivers to get alongside and outbrake other drivers. It's about pure speed through these corners, and we're seeing the draft is highly effective here as well.
Yeah, look at Tom Griffiths harrying the back end of James Clark. Going into Druids, backing out of it very wisely, just instead playing a bit of mind games, looking down the inside, you can see, just filling the rearview mirrors, not intending to make any moves, but letting James Clark know that he's there and he's coming, he's got pace, and if you want to hold on to third place, you're going to have to worry about me. I think that's exactly the words Tom Griffiths is trying to make clear to James at this stage of the race, but don't forget McNally and DeCourt, they're squabbling up ahead. Maybe it is smarter for these drivers to hold station, allow the front two to start to squabble, and if, well, the action does start to boil over, they're there to pick up the pieces. Down through Cascades, lovely line taken by DeCourt, running slightly wide of the exit, but he carries so much speed through there. It's where his car's absolutely dialed in. McNally doesn't seem too strong through there, but then coming through Knickerbrook, I noticed on the Monday, he is really good through that corner, makes up a lot of time. And depending on how the run is, there's a little look down the inside. Was there a touch or was there not? Did that maybe just scare Casper DeCourt out of it a bit?
Well, I've quite the move from McNally, but actually it might not have paid off, as now Clark finds his nose ahead of McNally's, and that might have slowed the momentum coming out of Shell Oil's corner there. And Casper DeCourt came off better, but it's still too wide. McNally and Griffiths side by side. He's trying to cling on to the podium spot. Here is McNally, and actually through Knickerbrook, which he said he's very good through. He gets back third place, and now Tom Griffiths is under threat from Lee Holmes.
Yeah, he's very good through Knickerbrook, but not as good as coming out of Shell Oil, it turns out. Griffiths holding on just about from Lee Holmes, who had it down the inside into Druids. Thought better of it. Very smart driving from all of these drivers for the top 5 fight. Want to see, though, what Casper DeCourt will do. Let's not forget, Clark was a teammate of Casper DeCourt's teammate, Jason Cooper, last season. Is there maybe a little bit of rivalry going on, or are they all friends and all buddies? We might find out in the next few corners' time. Coming through Old Hall Corner, James Clark gets the slipstream down through turn 2 into Cascades. McNally holding on to third place. Crucial for him and his championship hopes means that the lead isn't too far out of sight. If he dropped down into 4th, you could maybe think a podium would be good for him, but now you're thinking a race win is definitely on the cards. Down into Island Bend, swinging it through. Adam McNally has that car really set up for the high speed, just pitches the car in and it sticks for him. Just this slower corner seems to struggle as off the circuit. That was Craig Cockrell, a bit of a moment into Island Bend. Let's have a little look at a replay. It was there contact? There was just the slightest nudge. Nothing really in that on Dave Chapman's part. Just run a line, gave Craig Cockrell space, just a little bit of net contact, sent the car up in the air, but great job to keep it out of harm's way.
Yeah, you in these MX5s, when you run it wide onto the grass, you are. It's a bit of a tough moment, as we see side by side for 3rd and 4th. Up the inside goes Tom Griffiths on Adam McNally. Very close between the two there, and there is contact, and they go a little bit sideways. Tom Griffiths just about keeps hold of it, and he's still trying to battle on for 3rd place, but now Lee Holmes is putting him under threat round the outside as we go through Lodge Corner. Can't quite make it round the outside. Lee Holmes stays 5th at the moment, but James Clark is looking everywhere to try and get by Casper DeCourt. They have broken a gap. There is a gap developing between themselves and McNally from Griffiths as they fight for 4th place as well.
But it's not much of a gap. You can see the absolute ocean of orange on the left-hand side from 1st all the way down to James Neve in 7th place, just tagging along out the back of the fight. Well, you have that big gap to 8th place. Thompson having a look as well. There was A little bit of a close fight between Robson and Humberstone. That is the AM category fight for class lead. So we're trying to focus on as many fights as we can throughout this. Got some battles raging on. Dave Chapman trying to find a way through past Nick Clibbins. Looks to the outside through Shell Oils. A little bit of an unconventional line. Instead, maybe looking for a later apex. Better drive out of the corner. Getting a double slipstream, double helping of the toe. All the way across the hilltop straight. And this could work out in Dave Chapman's favour. Forced wide around the outside, though. It'll be a brave move into Knickerbrook if he goes for it. He's already got one place. Is he going to snatch another? This will be an amazing slingshot manoeuvre from Dave Chapman. Not quite. Instead, opting for a switchback through Knickerbrook, which doesn't end up working out. But great move from Dave Chapman to get ahead of Nick Clibbins. Further in front, battle rages on. DeCourt, Clark, McNally, Griffiths. Nose to tail as McNally feels the pressure from Griffiths. Goes defensive down the inside into Lodge Corner. Hard on the brakes. Down the inside goes McNally. Swinging it around the outside. You thought for a moment Tom Griffiths was going to take the place. But no, is not quite able to get the drive out. Across the line to take the position into Old Hall. Oh, Clibbins has had a moment. And we saw, didn't we, Clibbins and Chapman battling together. And then all of a sudden it was Clibbins and his teammate. I'm not sure which driver that was. Might have been Craig Cockrell, I think.
Yeah, was it the number 17 car of Simon Robson? I think it was, actually.
Oh yeah, it was Simon, yeah, you're right.
In different categories as well. I'm sure the Discord chat is pretty busy right now between those drivers. But Clibbins will have to clutch at straws here to try and get a good result out of this race. But there are reverse grids to consider, which means if one race doesn't go so well, you might be able to pick up the pieces in the next race. There's always a chance in the BSR MX5 series.
You only have to look at the British Drawing Car Championship to know that reverse grids can throw up a lot of spice here at Oulton Park, and we're going to be in for 3 reverse grid races this evening. So it's going to be a real treat for you this evening. Hope you are enjoying the show. Absolute Sim Racing, as we've got 5 cars, make that 6 cars duking it out for the lead, as you can just see in the background. Cooper in the mix. DeCourt ahead of Clark, ahead of McNally, ahead of Griffiths, Holmes, Cooper bringing up the rear. Clark going defensive down the inside as McNally has a wondrous run into Lodge Corner. He's going to have to be brave to send it around the outside, get the drive over Deers Leap. Does he have the run? A little bit of a touch of the grass on the exit, but look at how close each of them are to one another. The white flag being waved, you can just see it on the left-hand side. This is it, the final time for drivers to make up places. McNally diving down the inside of Old Hall. Has he sent it enough? Wide off of the corner goes Clark. Does he rejoin safely? No, there's contact between himself and McNally, who drops down a place. Griffiths takes advantage. And is there going to be a steward's inquiry about that rejoin? That was a little bit, I think, optimistic from Clark. He kept his foot pinned to the floor. All of a sudden, Griffiths fancies a move down into Island Bend, a corner where you never see moves. The two touch, the two collide. Is there going to be fireworks? Is there going to be drama? No. Griffiths slows down. McNally goes wide off the circuit, plunging down the order. And is that going to be maybe a blow in the championship? A crucial loss of positions in this fight where Casper DeCourt is going to come through and win the race after all of that drama. You'll have to bet, as long as he gets through these next corners safely, this will be his race to win. So then the squabble starts to become for second place. And what on earth goes on there is Cooper looking for a move around the outside of Holmes into Knickerbrook. Be a brave move if he goes for it. Isn't able to get it done. But wide off of the corner goes Lee. Opens the door wide as it possibly can be for Luke Cooper. Swing it around the outside of Clay Hill in towards Druids. Does he have the overlap? Does he have a nose down the inside to send it on the brakes? Yes, he does. The two collide midway through the corner on the apex. Lee Holmes concedes the position. Up the order goes Cooper. Griffiths and... Oh, I thought for a minute Griffiths was going to go for a move on Clark, but isn't able to do it. But throughout all of that, Casper DeCourt, he kept a level head up at the front, and he comes across the line to take race victory here this evening. Crucial for the championship, considering Jason Cooper's early mistake, and then Adam McNally's late fall from grace down the order following racing incidents that he seemed to just come off worse than. in the end. But what a finish to the race, Alex. That was some very dramatic stuff, even not just for in the top four, but also looking down. A lot of the field finished close together. Glenn Humberston and Simon Robson finishing half a second apart from each other, and that was in the AM category fight, with Glenn Humberston just winning out. I need to have a bit of a breather, so you know what I'll let you do? Get started with the reverse grid spinning wheel.
My audition for the my future game show continues. So we'll spin the wheel, find out what the reverse grid will be for race 2. A reverse of the results for this race to form the grid, and it will be a top 27 reverse for race 2. So once the results are classified, we'll be able to run through the results and find out who gets pole position for this next race.
Yeah, 27 reverse will do good for some drivers that obviously had incidents towards the early phase of the race. With 29 cars, it could very well be a full reverse grid. We never know. Oulton Park, though, means that just the nature of the track means that Casper de Court is going to have a lot of work to do, starting from the very back of the field. Right at the end here, just waiting for the last drivers to come across the line before reading through the classified race results. Race that I don't think is any doubt the race victor. Yep, Casper de Court wins by 1.2 seconds. It's James Clark in the end who managed to hold on to second place after a very excellent qualifying performance. James Clark fought brilliantly to get back up into P2. Tom Griffiths there in third. Excellent drive from Tom. Usually is a very interesting character to watch. Races very hard. Also very fair, though, with Luke Cooper right at the end there, who finishes in fourth. James Neve, fifth for Matthews Logistics. Good result for him and his team. Ahead of Adam McNally. Excellent. Not the race he was hoping for, but still gets some points over one of his championship rivals, Jason Cooper, who will be coming down to later in the order. Lee Holmes wins the Pro-Am category in the 88 Tech car, the 35 in 7th place. Dave Chapman in 8th, ahead of Andy Thompson. Craig Cockrell rounding out the top 10 with Glenn Humberston 11th, Simon Robson 12th, first and second in AMS. Michael Seal, after a brilliant qualifying performance, one little mistake going out of Old Hall, saw him spin around and drop down into 13th place. That's where he finishes the first race of the evening, ahead of Harley Moss, Nick Clemens, Liam Silkstone, Craig Schill, Ryan Main, Fiona Sims, Lars Fisher, Jason Cooper, all the way down in 21st. Not the race he was hoping for, as well as Lars Fisher, 5-star Motorsport, another early protagonist, all the way down in 20th place. Ashley Simpson, 23rd. Andy McEwen, 24th, ahead of Douglas Stewart and Mark Oliver, who is last of the drivers to score points. Last of the drivers eligible for the 27 reverse grid, so it effectively becomes a 26 reverse grid. Mark Oliver there starting up on pole position with non-finishers Brian Stewart, Adam Delmont and Julian Schroer. So with that, the first race of the evening here at Oulton Park is in the books. No drivers seem to be coming through for a word with us, Alex, so we can have a little bit of a discussion about that race and the potential implications that has for the championship. Casper de Court obviously finishing well. Adam McNally not so great, but a rare mistake from Jason Cooper. Is that a sign that pressure could be getting to him?
Maybe, yeah. A particularly good qualifying session, which looked very promising, but in the race, it just fell apart right from the word go. I'm not sure. We'll have to speak to him to find out. It just seems very, very uncharacteristic. At this point in the season, surely you'd be more focused, wouldn't you? Really ensuring that you're not going to make a mistake like that. So it'd be interesting to find out what actually happened to Jason Cooper there. But another turn in the championship with Adam McNally's final lap there as well.
Yeah, that was very tragic. Maybe we're looking a bit too much into Jason Cooper's mistake in the opening lap, but because he makes errors so rarely, they're always a big talking point when they happen. Take it as a compliment, Jason. We'll hope to see you going a little bit higher up the order if you are watching to find out what happens in race 2. Obviously, Jason is starting further towards the front for the second race. So is Andy McEwen. But I think Andy McEwen is actually starting from the pits in the second race, so I won't be able to benefit from his favourable grid position. We'll be able to see, though, how all the drivers fare for the 27 reverse grid that's going to be coming up in about 10 minutes' time on Absolute Sim Racing. Stay tuned. Welcome back, everybody. We've just had an exciting first race here at Oulton Park, and the second one is a 26 reverse grid, and of course, that results in plenty more excitement still to come in the evening. Alex joins me in the commentary box, and I'm sure you're just as eager to get the second race underway as I am.
Oh, I can't wait. Love these reverse grid races. And Road Atlanta was plenty to go by. So looking forward to this one indeed. Who's going to come out on top? Well, it's hard to say, but you've got to keep an eye on Jason Cooper, finishing below 20th in the first race there. He's certainly going to want some redemption, and he'll feel he's got an opportunity here to claw back a lot of points here with his rivals starting towards the lower end of the grid now. He's got a big chance here to try and claw back some points. But a big task ahead of him for the rest of the night, that's for certain.
Yeah, definitely. Jason Cooper is certainly one to watch, setting the time screen to light as well, even in this warm-up session. And warm-up, I think, is the key word, because it's very warm up there. It's 37 degrees. Compared that to the first race, where it was around about 24 degrees. That's a much hotter track temperature than the drivers will have been used to. Of course, it helps the tyres get into temperature, into the window earlier on in the race. Might allow Jason Cooper to not have to worry about lighting up the rears, but of course, hotter track temperature in general means more understeer. It means you can't attack the corners as you would like to and as you would have been used to. So a different driving approach needs to be taken. But from pole position, we'll run you through the starting order for the second race. Mark Oliver will lead the field down into turn one ahead of Douglas Stewart. Danny McEwen in third place, but he won't be taking to the grid. He is serving a pit start penalty ahead of Ashley Stimpson, who will line up in fourth place, ahead of Sam Smith, Jason Cooper, Lars Fisher, Fiona Siddons, Ryan Main, Craig Schill, Liam Silkstone, Nick Clibbins, Harley Moss, Michael Seal, Simon Robson, Glenn Humberston, Craig Cockrell, Andy Thompson, Dave Chapman, Lee Holmes, Adam McNally, James Neve, Luke Cooper, Tom Griffiths, James Clark, Casper de Court, Brian Stewart, and Adam Delmont. Makes 28 cars on the grid here at Oulton Park. And already we've seen the championship twist and turn. This could be another turning point here in this reverse grid race with plenty of big hitters down the order. Others, a little bit higher up, Jason Cooper, can definitely grab something from this race. Watch out for him in sixth place. So, cars getting ready on the grid. Lights coming on. They will soon go out, and the action will begin once again here at Oulton Park. It is a very good start from Mark Oliver. Stimpson slots in behind. Sam Smith there in third. Look at Jason Cooper, though, trying to swing his way through instead. Being a bit smarter with his approach, going for a good exit. Sees an incident. Well done with the awareness, but what on earth happened there? That was a big moment. Stimpson having a huge slide coming out of Old Hall, and I think he came across the nose of his teammate Nick Clibbins. So again, Simtech teammates colliding once more. What on earth is going on over there? The Discord will definitely not be a good place to be. I can bet on that. Might be some choice words being used with frustration starting to kick in. Nick Clibbins dropping way down the field. Thankfully, there aren't too many more incidents going on, so Mark Oliver still leads the way. But Jason Cooper, this is a brilliant start for him, as will it be for Lars Fisher. Currently, two drivers up 4 places. Silkstone up 6 already, and Luke Cooper, Tom Griffiths, they're already up 10. So brilliant starts for drivers that already had a good race one, getting through all of the drama nice and cleanly.
As we see Jason
Cooper's already into the lead.
Yeah, brilliant start to this race for him. It's exactly what he needed. Get himself up the front nice and early, and Lars Fisher following him through. Mark Oliver, a bit of a sitting duck here. Ryan Main on his heels now. But Mark Oliver, being the AM category driver, he's probably not going to mess around too much with those pro category drivers. He's in his own race, in his own category. He'll think wisely of that, and I think he has done. But he'll be keen to keep himself in this top spot positions here, getting good points for himself. But at the end of lap 1, it is Jason Cooper, number 1, with the number 1 on his door as well.
Jason Cooper, very good start to the race here. Lars Fisher in second place, doing himself a lot of good for his virtual championship as well. Glenn Humberston there, down in 17th in the Wars, and Sam Smith. That's big damage coming out of Old Hall. Was there a bit of contact perhaps? Let's have a look. Oh, there was a little tap from McEwen down on the inside into turn 1. And that sent Sam Smith into the wall. Huge damage. And yep, Sam Smith's race is over already on the second lap.
We saw McEwen serving a pit start penalty. Another steward's inquiry coming after the race. I'm not going to speculate too much on what actually happened in that instant. It's a bit deceptive for us. But yeah, McEwen will be conscious of that post-race, that's for certain.
Yeah, it's definitely not great for Andy to rack up these penalties. Doesn't do his championship any good, and of course a championship round that you serve a penalty at isn't one that you can then drop from your eventual score, which I guess serves as a way to basically ensure that drivers can't get away with sort of driving recklessly. There's contact again between teammates. Two Swift Cooper drivers coming together. I think that was Luke Cooper and Andy Thompson coming to blows through Druids. Andy Thompson parking on the left-hand side of the circuit on the grass. Is that his race over a double as well? I can't quite see the angle. You can see him come wide off into the wall there. Hopefully we'll get a better shot to figure out what exactly happened between the pair of them, because it looked like they were just fighting for the same bit of track. A little bit of contact, perhaps. Yeah, just a little bit of contact on the exit. Sent Andy Thompson into the wall.
Yeah, rather unfortunate there. That drops him down to 27th and potentially out of this race. Slow running Dave Chapman as well there, struggling at the back there. Drama for him earlier on in this race as well. Continue at the top though, 5-Star Motorsport leading the way. Oh, as we see a driver go wide there, that is Ryan Main off, heading towards the Shell Oil corner. Going very slow to try and get it back on the track very safely, keeping it well away from the track, not to disturb anyone. But that's losing a lot of positions for Main right now.
Main's been very sensible there, though, staying out of trouble, rejoining the circuit right towards the rear. Obviously, you can't really get back on the circuit safely. I think for that corner, you do, unfortunately, have to suffer a lot of time loss, but it's much better than racking up a penalty. So let's have a look down into... Oh,
Lost
just too
himself,
wide.
yeah.
He took too much speed in there, so running wide. And then you can't rejoin at all. You need to wait all the way through the corner, right up until the exit, and then you can finally come back on circuit. McNally, he's made up 13 places so far this race, and looks set to make one more as diving down the inside on Michael Seal into Lodge corner. Is he able to get the drive out? Michael Seal with a little bit of a twitch on the exit, up through Deers Leap. Holds on, but into Lodge. You can bet Adam is fancying a move, looking down towards the inside. Backs out, but forces. You can just see Michael to miss the apex, a touch, a fraction. Down into Cascades. McNally looks to the inside, which then becomes the outside. Down through the left-hander. Michael doing a great job of defending, but by doing so, could be missing the sight of the fight he was looking for, which is Brown driver Harley Moss, who himself is looking to sweep around the outside through, oh my word, through Ireland, and that was never going to work out. Harley Moss onto the grass, just about rejoins the circuit as Michael Seals off the road and has to find a way to rejoin without hitting anybody, which he does. Plenty of action going on here in this little fight. Oh, and he gets a tap up the rear from McNally. Little touch, not a lot in it, but definitely a touch.
And we saw McNally go for a similar move in the former race, and thankfully for the driver in question, managed to pull out of the apex and keep it well away from Adam McNally. But it's a move that hasn't worked again for McNally, and as he dropped down many places, he's still in 6th place at the moment. Big charge through the field, but that has compromised Michael Seal's race quite a lot here, as he's struggling to keep it in the top 15 right now.
Yeah, definitely not the best, but Michael Seal has shown his good one-lap pace around this circuit, just involved in incidents and unfortunately come out worse off. Looking at Tom Griffiths now, down the inside of Harley Moss. Easy does it. The number 11 TJ Motorsport driver up into 11th place. Now can focus on maybe getting ahead of Lee Holmes. It's Casper de Court, who's off to a good set of pace. Right in behind Simon Robson now. This shouldn't be too difficult. Pro against Am. You'd always back the pro in this situation. Down through Cascades. We're coming up to Island Bend, a corner that we've seen time and time again. Drivers unable to overtake, but this time Casper down the inside. A much more favourable line to get the move done and dusted. Nose ahead, pitches the car in, carries the speed through. Good little move that from Casper de Court. Touch of the grass is a little bit upsetting for Simon Robson. I think he would have been a bit more scared about that than he would have liked to have been, but still kept it on the straight and narrow in the end. But then up towards the front, in a class of their own, Jason Cooper, Lars Fischer. What a race these two are having.
Yeah, just absolutely romping away. But I'm sure Jason Cooper's got one eye on his relative, or his standings, black box as they're called, on iRacing. And you'll see Adam McNally has crept into the top 6, might even be creeping into the top 5 here. That will be a sight he doesn't want to see. He wants as many points as he can get above McNally as he moves towards 5th place. Yes, he does, on the inside of the number 82 car, Craig Schill. And into the top 5 goes McNally. A big drive here from near the back of the grid. For most of these drivers aside towards the back, Luke Cooper as well in 7th place, now up to 6th place on the inside of Craig Schill. Another big move by the pro drivers in this field right here. Casper de Court in 8th place, up 18 places as well. Big stuff from the big hitters from race 1.
Oh, this is exciting. Adam McNally up into 4th place. He's having a meteoric rise up through the field, isn't he? Definitely getting closer to the podium places as he squabbles a little bit with Mark Oliver. Cooper as well. Just looking for the move down on the inside, but covered off quite nicely by Oliver, actually, coming out of Cascades. Touch of the grass, though, as they race down in towards Island Bend. Seems to be sorted out as Casper de Court goes through on Craig Schill. So all of these drivers squabbling for position. Oliver trying to keep ahead, but Oliver as well, let's not forget, he doesn't need to fight with these pro drivers. He needs to secure the AM Championship.
Yeah, I was just about to say that the AM drivers are being very clever here. They know this isn't their fight. They're getting, if a pro driver is they're finding a pro driver up there inside, they're giving way quite well here, realizing it's not their fight and they just need to keep up in these high positions here. Oliver will be conscious of the gap between him and Schill further back though, so they'll want to be in a hurry, but not necessarily getting in the way of the pro drivers, which is quite a difficult concept to go through in such an intense race like this.
Yeah, it is, like you say, very intense on the circuit at the moment, especially when so many cars are so close together on such a narrow circuit. Adam McNally up into 3rd place in the podium positions as coming out of Lodge. There's a bit of argy-bargy, bumping and banging. Oliver getting a tap up the rear. A little bit of a hurry-up, perhaps, from Luke Cooper, who himself is under a lot of pressure from Casper de Court. As Holmes and Schill start to squabble. Holmes down the inside. Bet him to win out on this occasion, which he does. Down into Cascades now. Look at Luke Cooper. Through he goes on Mark Oliver. Leaves a lot of space on the exit. Good racing room afforded, but still able to take the position. And then now down the inside, Casper de Court, he's going to go for it, he's going to send it. He takes the position up into 6th place. Wonderful move from the Dutchman.
We can see there, Mark Oliver. Oh, Luke Holmes goes round, and he might be blocking the track here. A lot of drivers evade on the outside, but Luke Holmes gets it quickly to the inside of the hairpin to avoid the traffic and get his race back on track here, but he drops down the order. See if we can get a replay of that.
Don't think there was any contact. I think he just shifted down into 1st a little bit too easy, it's a little bit too soon, and that kicked the rear end out. We're going to have a look here. Oh no, there was a tap. There was a tap. I just thought when I saw the spin happen there was nobody near him. That was because there was a very hefty pump up the rear end, and I think was that Craig Schill, I want to say.
I think it was, yes. 82 car, I believe it was. So yeah, Craig Schill. As we rejoin the live action, we've got a little bit of an issue with our broadcast overlay here, so we'll get the results back here for you very soon. And currently we're watching the battle for 10th spot between Andrew McEwen, Michael Seal, and 2 AM drivers of Craig Schill and Mark Oliver.
Yeah. These are live pictures as well. It says replay in the top left-hand corner, but again, that's just our overlay throwing a bit of a wobbly. Here we go, live pictures once more. There we go. Lee Holmes there, all the way down in 22nd. Not what he was hoping for. Was running a great race up until the contact. Saw him spinning down through the order. As there's been more incidents going on, I think Mark Oliver has now been plunged outside of that top 10 fight and is all the way down the order in 23rd place. So we're going to have a little look at the replay here. Oh, and this was just coming out of Lodge corner. So easily done. And then the whole world seems to go by. So Mark Oliver, his race goes from bad to worse, unfortunately.
I think there's more that happens here.
Is there more that happens? So going to the first corner. Oh, there is a little bit of a squabble. Oh, when he gets a hit up the rear. And I think... Was that from James Clark? I think that was.
I think it was, yes.
Who then has a contact with the 777 of Adam Delmont coming down through Cascades. So I think there's another incident involving James Clark, and that time it was with the Excite driver of Adam Delmont.
They're racking up the incidents in this race, these drivers are. They've only got 15 to play with before they get a penalty, so they've got to be real careful, particularly as this track is prone to off-track penalties as well, referred to on iRacing as the 1X. So you get X amount of points, instant points, for contact, off-tracks, loss of control, etc, etc. All that lines adds up towards a penalty as we see the white flag waved to introduce us to the final lap here, Ed.
Yeah, and it's the final lap that seems uncontested for the race lead between Jason Cooper and Lars Fischer. Jason with a hefty advantage, half a second. I don't think we're going to be seeing Lars Fischer make up that amount of ground to challenge for the race lead. Adam McNally, in his own little world, in third place, was able to get ahead of all of the nonsense in behind, level-headed and carried on his way. Silkstone in fourth as well. And then all of a sudden, a huge gaggle of cars in behind to Cooper, squabbling with one another. Keep your eyes on Casper, if he can maybe hold on, or see about potentially fighting with Silkstone, who's definitely in a... We've definitely got some instruction, I think, from his teammate to keep Casper behind, keep that driver in your rearview mirrors, but it's easier said than done now into Knickerbrook. Can see him down around the outside, sending it through the corner. Is he going to make it in time? No, he doesn't. Casper de Court just runs a little bit too wide, has to back out the throttle, and all of a sudden, Silkstone can power down through into Druids, held around the outside, but then the inside for the all-important double apex right-hander, sending it through. But Casper de Court around the outside. Is he going to stick the move down, around, through the corner he goes? Brilliant move from Casper, who now goes very defensive into Lodge. We're going to break away from this to watch the race leader, Jason Cooper, take the checkered flag, winning for 5-Star Motorsport. Silkstone with a good drive out of the corner, but it's not enough to take away from Casper de Court, who finishes in fourth. What a race that was, right on the last lap. Casper de Court making up a position to reduce the deficit of points lost to championship rival Adam McNally and Jason Cooper. And all of those little gains can add up right towards the end. Those little last lap overtakes to grab some more points are crucial at this late stage. Brilliant race, though, from Jason, bouncing back after a disappointing first race. And what pressure. What mistake from Jason Cooper. There was none of that in this time. He's answered back to us in the only way he knows how, and that is just to race absolutely brilliantly.
Certainly has. I don't want to be a downer, but I have to mention that his championship rivals, Adam McNally and Casper de Court, have done very, very well in this race, which he would have been hoping not to happen in this race. But yeah, a win on the board for Jason Cooper. If he could put more wins in like that throughout the night, then I'm sure he's going to get things back on track for his championship if they are off track.
Well, how many more wins do you reckon Jason Cooper will get, especially considering he'll be starting further towards the back with the reverse grid spinning wheel that's to come? How far will Jason be starting the third race of the evening? I think, Alex, you'll be able to tell us.
Teed up nicely for the wheel spin. Here we go. This is going to be the reverse grid slot for race 3 of tonight's BSR MX5s, and it is a top 17 reverse we're going to see for race 3.
So, top 17, That's very exciting for some drivers. Maybe not so exciting for the others. Jason Cooper needs to make up that many places to do what he's done in the second race, and that is win by comfortable margin, half a second, to teammate Lars Fischer, who finishes ahead of Adam McNally. Crucial for the championship, of course. Adam able to get some good points ahead of Casper de Kort, who again doesn't lose out too much, finishing in 4th place. Luke Cooper in 5th, ahead of Liam Silkstone, Tom Griffiths, Andy McEwen in 8th. Great drive from a pit lane start from Year 1 Racing driver. Craig Schill there in 9th, who takes the AM class victory. Also, didn't actually about it's too much, but I think it's worth mentioning. Liam Silkstone, 6th place. That was the Pro-Am class victory for Excite iRacing. So great drive from Liam. Then 10th place, rounding out the top 10, Simon Robson, ahead of James Clark. Michael Seal, 12th place, ahead of James Neve. Dave Chapman, Nick Clemens, Ashley Simpson. And 17th, reverse grid, means that Lee Holmes, after the dramas that he saw in the second race, he'll be having a much easier time of things now, starting from pole position. Main, you can see 18th place, just narrowly misses out, ahead of Douglas Stewart, Craig Cockrell, Mark Oliver, Harley Moss, Brian Stewart, and Adam Delmont in 24th. 1 lap down, Fiona Stevens, 1 lap down, Glenn Humberston, and then 2 non-finishers, Andy Thompson and Sam Smith. But you can see that 17 reverse group working in favour of Lee Holmes means that he'll be starting on pole position.
Yep, good opportunity to get more points in. It hasn't been Lee Holmes' night so far, but a big opportunity. Only 3rd in Pro-Am category, though, despite finishing 17th. So not too bad for Lee, but a big opportunity for him here in this next race coming up.
Yeah, it was very exciting. Reverse grids at Oulton Park do give us some excitement. Means that it's a lot of stress for the drivers, but excitement for us and everyone watching that doesn't have to be behind the wheel, I think, which I'm sure me and you are both equally sad that we're not racing, but also very glad that we're not racing, because tell you what, the heart rate would be absolutely rocketing up.
Yeah. I'm glad in race 1, especially. I'm glad you took the final lap, because I was holding my breath looking at a lot of the racing there. It's been exciting. It's been a bit of touch and go here and there. There's been a few very questionable incidents, but a lot of the racing, even still, is very, very good to watch.
Yeah, so we're going to watch a little bit more of the racing in about 10 minutes' time. The 3rd race up and coming on Absolute Sim Racing. Stay tuned for all of that action and a little bit more, because races 3 and 4 still to come.
I can't remember why. The fire's gone, a moment's out, the embers have gone dry. I don't need your love to carry on. I don't need your love to make me strong. No, I've got courage to guide me through the dark. I've got courage to follow my own heart. Not everyone you lose is lost. At what cost? At what cost? I don't need your love to carry on. I don't need your love to make me strong. No. I've got courage to guide me through the dark. I've got courage to follow my own heart. I've got sometimes when you're here, I can feel no doubts, 'cause you keep me where the stars are found. It doesn't really matter, 'cause you're here with me now. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter, 'cause you're here with me now. It doesn't really matter, 'cause I feel so free now. It doesn't really matter. down just like a pill. Oh yeah. Take you like a pill. Say sorry. Oh, maybe I'll leave. Maybe, but you know I never will. No, so I choke you down just like a pill. Oh yeah. Take you like a get my fill.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Absolute Sim Racing, and with the third race up and coming, the tension is so thick you can cut it with a knife, just like the fog that has descended on the circuit here at Oulton Park for the third race of the evening. Alex, we do like a little bit of dynamic weather in these races, gives the drivers a lot of things to think about and means they have to be kept on their toes.
Yeah, absolutely. They have to be adaptive to these changeable conditions. Just look to my side. I can't even see you. The fog is that thick. But yeah, drivers, they've got a challenge here. Tricky visibility, tricky track conditions. It's very, very hot track temperature, which we'll get up on the screens just in a sec. So yeah, humidity at 100%, which is quite something, and track temp at 41 degrees Celsius. Very, very hot, which means visibility is one thing and grip is another, or lack of grip, should we say.
Yeah, I didn't realise the microclimate around Cheshire was that of a rainforest. It's not. I don't think it's fog. I think it's steam coming off of the racing circuit, being the way that it's just so hot. Of course, that has added an extra dynamic that the lap times are a little bit slower than we're used to. Jason Cooper, let's not forget, his qualifying time was a 41.3, 41.2. The best he can muster now is a 41.8. So track temp's definitely hotting up, slowing the drivers down, but that doesn't mean the action is going to be any less exciting. You can see on pole position is Lee Holmes for 88 Tech, ahead of Ashley Stimpson, Zintech Pro, making up the front row, with Nick Clemens in third, Dave Chapman fourth, James Eve in fifth, ahead of Michael Seal, James Clark, Simon Robson, Craig Schill, and Andy McEwen, who lines up in 10th place, ahead of Tom Griffiths, Liam Hookstone, Luke Cooper, Casper de Court, Adam McNally, Lars Fisher, and Jason Cooper, race 2, race victor. He's starting all the way down in 17th place. In ahead of Ryan Main, 18th, Douglas Stewart, 19th, Craig Cockrell, 20th, ahead of Mark Oliver, Harley Moss, Brian Stewart, Adam Delmont, Fiona Siddons, Glenn Humberston, Andy Thompson, and Sam Smith. Look at all the cars. You can just about make them out as the race gets underway here for the third time this evening. Sea of cars through a sea of fog into Turn 1, Old Hall Corner. Just about getting through without any issue. A great little move there from Clibbins to catch out Stimson on the exit. Several
Casper
cars off. You can see Casper de Court. Is that Casper de Court around? Yes, it is.
Yeah.
You could just see him there on the right-hand side now, looping it around. He's dropped all the way down to the back of the field. What happened here? Let's go to a quick replay. Oh, and he just loops it in. Cold tyres, hot track. This is not a combination that mixes well into Old Hall Corner. And he is, unfortunately, been caught out.
Similar to that of Cooper at the start of race 1, so that might be good news for Cooper, as there's a lot of cars running off wide. They're really struggling with visibility out there, like what we are. There's a lot of drivers peeling off to try and get themselves towards the back, and we see the 79 car of Douglas Stewart there running off the track, coming out of the hairpin. It's a very tricky lap 1 indeed for these drivers.
Yeah, very, very tricky. It's probably not the highest combinations. Hot track, no visibility. Just as bad as if it was pitch black at night, but we're not going to give the BSR server admins any ideas going into the final race. Clibbins again runs wide through Knickerbrook, regains control of the car. A little bit of a twitch as the car grips back up. Look at this though, Delmont looking for a way through the 777, held off by Nick Clibbins. Look at the pair of now teammates as well. Clibbins and Cockrell wheel to wheel as McNally makes a move on Griffiths, who actually drops down the order as Griffiths had a bit of a moment coming out of Druids here, dropping back the number 11 as Jason Cooper slings it down the inside of Liam Silkstone. The first lap has been fast, frenetic, but Lee Holmes is still able to hold on to his pole advantage at the lead of the field.
Yeah, 1 second ahead. Good start for Holmes. This is exactly what he needed for his tricky start to the night. And if anybody wants a preview for what wet weather racing is going to be like on iRacing, I think this might be it. The high track temps is causing such a lack of grip for these drivers that they're just running off wide, particularly on cold tyres. So this is a preview for wet weather coming to iRacing, ladies and gentlemen. Watch it here.
Oh dear, well, we'll be waiting for that with bated breath. Hopefully we'll get a little Christmas present from iRacing, a little early one, telling us that we get some rain on the way. Not dreaming of a white Christmas, dreaming of a wet Christmas on iRacing. I think that's going to be standard fare for most drivers on the service. Ryan Main, seen tussling with Cooper all the way over crest of the hill. And this has been one heck of a first lap for several drivers. I mean, Adam Delmont making up 10 places. So is Glenn Humberston. So is Sam Smith. Tom Griffiths, that had the best of starts, was making moves early on and then been sent back down. Now all the way back up again. Following Dave Chapman, who's not been off to the worst of starts either. Getting his evening back on track, up in second place and hunting down Lee Holmes. You can just see him emerging through the fog, getting ever closer to the rear end of the 88 Tech car. It's currently occupying first spot, but for how long, Alex? Because Dave, he's on a charge.
Well, this has been a very good lap from Dave Chapman. Once the tyres are warmed up, he's able to get into a good groove and is within 0.3 of a second, 0.4 of a second from Lee Holmes here as Lee goes wide, coming out of the Old Hall corner. As we go over the crest down towards the Cascades, this is going to be battle on for Holmes very, very soon. If he wants to keep hold of this potential race win, granted a good few minutes plus a few more to go in this race. Game on for these two at the top here. And of the main championship protagonists, we've got Adam McNally heading the trio, just ahead of Jason Cooper here, 7th and 8th. And we've also got Casper de Court down in 20th. The comeback is on for the Dutchman.
Look at Casper de Court, you can just about find him through there. Oh, there's a huge crash. That's Harley Moss and Fiona Siddons off at the exit of Island Bend. Cars to become one. I know it's a Christmas song, but it's not quite Christmas yet, you two. Play nice. Look at them, just the slightest of touches sends them both off into the gravel. Too wide through Island Bend. Doesn't really work out.
Yeah, just a case of nose on the inside and the door closed as we resume back to the front as Dave Chapman has found his way alongside Lee Holmes inside at Druids, and through goes Chapman. Lee Holmes hasn't contested too much for that, looking for a good run out of Druids. Can he get a good run to find his way back on the inside? Can we peer through the fog to see? Yes, we can, just about. But Lee Holmes pulls back in behind. Again, this is another case of, is this the fight that they need to get involved with. Lee Holmes is quite a way ahead of Michael Seal, his nearest rival for the Pro-Am race win here. So he needs to be careful about the battles he chooses.
Yeah, you do need to be very smart, very clever with how you fight, especially up towards the front of the field when the racing gets that more intense, because there's so much more at stake. A race victory is what all the drivers desperately want to fight for, as there's a little error from Lee Holmes, runs slightly wide through Nickelbrook, regains it just about on the exit. See McEwen right up behind Clark. And James under some pressure. Don't forget, this is Andy McEwen's home circuit. I told him coming into this round that he's a race winner, and this is home circuit, so no pressure, but he seems to be adapting all right. Not had any moments, knock on wood, of course, if you can hear that. I'm making sure I'm not trying to jinx Andy McEwen as he comes now up towards the hilltop straight, getting some nice healthy toe from the rear end of James Clark. But is he going to be close enough into Nickelbrook to make the move? You can see the time coming down and down. You can see the cars coming closer and closer together. He looks to the inside, headlights making it that much clearer. His intentions in the rear view mirrors of Clark, and that actually sends him wide. A little mistake. McEwen up through Clay Hill around the outside in towards Druids. Is he going to get the overlap? He does have a nose up the inside and sweeps on through. You can see that Clark wasn't going to fight it.
Yeah, opportunistic move there, just getting Nickelbrook absolutely right there for McEwen and capitalise on the mistake of Clark. This has actually been a pretty impressive night for McEwen, barring one instant earlier on in race 1 that we briefly saw, but coming through from a pit start is now contending and gaining on the top 3 here. This is quite the night for McEwen, and it's not over yet.
Yeah, it definitely isn't over for him. And again, I think this is the weather coming into effect. Obviously, when you see drivers moving about in your rearview mirror, it's a lot more apparent when you've got a pair of beaming headlights right in your sort of rearview mirror, just to throw you off a little bit of maybe your braking zone. You're looking too much in behind, not looking at the corner upcoming. And it's very easy to make a little mistake when you're in such a close fight. McEwen using that to his advantage, but he's well over 1.5 seconds back from James Neve. It's going to be a lot of a job to try and close that margin down and try and fight for the podium place. He's going to have to hope that Lee Holmes is going to send a move on Chapman. And to be fair, those two up in front are getting closer and closer. We could start to see a little bit of action here coming all the way over the crest. The two squabbling together, forced wide. Lee Holmes onto the grass. That was a little bit naughty maybe from Dave Chapman, but the two are racing very hard. You've got to give them credit where it's due.
Yeah, very close there. And Chapman did not like the thought of Holmes getting alongside at Nickelbrook on the outside, particularly with the grip so low here. Holmes will have to try again. If we've seen on these previous few laps, he'd be able to catch it back up. Maybe him and James Neve can work together to catch back up with the number 19 car.
McEwen's closed as well, actually, to James Neve. You can see the margins come down from 1.8 seconds to 1.4 seconds. So definitely working in favour of Andy, this little fight that's been brewing on up ahead. We'll be hoping for a little bit more of that in the coming 6.5 minutes. You can see the gap advantage. McEwen was dropping back, but now that he's actually gotten ahead, he has been able to close it back down. Actually, no, that is the battle between McEwen and Clark. So McEwen was behind, but then on the last couple of laps around the circuit, McEwen's been able to build the margin to Clark and also close the gap to Neve, which is crucial for the fight for the podium. I know Andy McEwen, it'll be a bit like deja vu if he can get up to the front of the field, squabbling with Dave Chapman for the race lead, much like he did last round out.
So a bit of deja vu then.
I love that. I love that.
Dave Chapman at the moment in the lead, holding on pretty well. I don't think Lee Holmes is going to let him go anytime soon. Lee is having a very, very good race here. As we mentioned, not such a good start to the night, so he's been desperate for a good result in this race. Only a battle of 3 at the moment, so it isn't particularly frantic as we've seen other battles throughout the night so far. But a little bit of a look down further down the field. Glenn Humberston, first of the AM drivers in 18th overall, just ahead of Craig Schill. So another good night for Glenn Humberston in respect of the AM category, it seems. As we resume back towards the front, Michael Seal, a bit of an up and down night for him, 7th place for him. Right behind Jason Cooper, one of the big hitters of the field.
Yeah, making up 11 places. Good effort from Jason, setting the fastest lap of the race. No bonus points for setting fastest lap, though, this season. It's all about your raw on-track position. Where you finish the race is where you get your points. No, still not bonus points, which means that drivers don't need to worry about thinking of anything but going out there and racing as hard as they damn can. Cooper then in behind Clark, then behind McEwen.
More cars running off wide there at Old Hall there.
There's time to be gained. Of course, you get the off track, but if it gains you time, and if you're Andy McEwen, you can see that there's cars up ahead, you might as well go for it. You can see how much he's pushing the car, the absolute limits of grip on this very hot circuit, maybe a little bit too much as he's losing touch to James Neave, and under pressure from James Clark himself. He turns into the corner with a face full of rear bumper, isn't able to judge it too right. McEwen takes a different line, you can see, compared to Clark, which actually helps McEwen coming out of the corner. Clark struggles a little bit in applying the power because of the narrow line he's taking on the hotter track.
Yeah, and actually quite clever of McEwen there. It means he's got a good acceleration, or a better acceleration, shall we say, than Clark coming out of the corner and into Knickerbrook here as a position swap between Cooper and Clark. McEwen is able to stretch away with that good exit from the hairpin, was what I was going to say. But now Cooper is on the charge. 12 places gained. What a race he is having. Very, very good compared to his championship rivals. Casper de Court, who's into 14th place now, which is no advancement from his starting position technically. And Adam McNally's only up 7 places to 8th position.
Yeah, not the best of races from McNally, but still good enough, extending his advantage over championship rivals Casper de Court. So that's basically the main thing for him to focus on now. Look at McEwen right up behind James Neave. Going to be looking down the inside. Is he into Old Hall? No. Looks to the inside, maybe to throw Neave slightly off of his line. Both cars running slightly wide. McEwen a little bit more, but he's carrying that extra bit of momentum, a few more kilometers an hour, coming down into Cascades on board with McEwen, so you can see the amount he's sending it into the corner. Gets a good exit as well now into Island Bend. On board with Andy McEwen, we will go again to see, is he looking down the inside? He's going for it, thinks about it, gets the slightest of overlap, sends it into the corner. Do you know what? He's going to take the position. Does he? No. Great fight from James Neave. They're going to fight together into Shellow's corner. McEwen too late on the brakes. He makes a mistake, opens the door wide as well for Jason Cooper to try and send a move, but it doesn't work out. And then look at the run out of the corner from Andy. He's absolutely sent it through, blitzed up by. Excellent stuff from Andy McEwen. When you thought he was out, he fights right back.
Overtake of the night is got to be said. He caught everyone napping there with what everyone thought was a bad entrance to the corner and a slick undercut on the main straight there to get it back through and into 3rd place. Brilliant from Andrew McEwen, got to be said. James Cooper now putting James Neave under pressure here for 4th place. And it's a crocodile of MX5s going through Druid's corner there, headed by Andrew McEwen in 3rd place here. And while we're talking about all this, it's getting quite close towards the front as well between Holmes and Chapman. Back there we saw an attempted move from, I think it might have been Michael Seal on Adam McNally, but it didn't quite work. But at the front, it's getting very, very close between these. So I think this will be the final lap. I can't quite tell if the white flag is waving. White flag is not the best flag to be waving in a foggy condition. But very close between these two at the front. Chapman and Holmes for the win.
Yeah, you can just about see Dave Chapman has the advantage, but McEwen, he's a real tough fighter. You can see how much he sends it through Cascades. All 4 wheels sliding, nearly all 4 wheels off the track. Coming out of the corner, it leaves him vulnerable to James Neave. So then Dave Chapman, Lee Holmes squadding together into Shallow corner. Such a crucial one. McEwen trying a different line, which seems to help him out. And is that maybe going to come through? Oh, there's a little bit of a slide on the exit. Holmes too eager on the power. You can see he wasn't able to play it down as nicely, but still gets a decent enough drive along with the slipstream all the way now across the hilltop straight, rising up for plummeting down towards Knickerbrook. Wow, I love Oulton Park. It is a real roller coaster ride of a circuit. Now looking to the outside line goes Lee Holmes. This is for the race lead. He thinks about sending it instead, doesn't make it stick, but then gets the switchback maneuver. Good drive out of the corner. They will look one way, then the other, then the next. All the drivers really fighting together, close and hard. Bit of a bump, bit of a touch. down the inside. Lee Holmes, I thought he was going to send it so late into Druids. Andy McEwen, he's going to try and snatch second place now. That's just enough of an advantage for Chapman to be comfortable into Lodge. You can see Holmes, how defensive he's had to go. It's in the background. Big moment. Huge contact in the rear. Not sure what's going on there. McEwen's going to try and take it on Holmes. There's going to be a drag race up to the line. McEwen held around the outside, though, isn't able to take it as Dave Chapman crosses the line to take the race victory. What a battle that was for the lead between all three drivers. Dave Chapman winning out right at the end there. Great drive from the number 19 time for car driver. And Lee Holmes, Pro-Am, holds on to second place. Thought the race victory could have been on, but instead secured second ahead of a hard-charging Andy McEwen, who, tell you what, brilliant stuff from him to bring back quite a huge deficit at times to finish in third place. And then there were fireworks in the background. Not sure what went on. Throughout all of the chaos and carnage, Jason Cooper finished fourth. Adam McNally finished fifth. We're going to have a look here, because this was just in behind the race leaders. Oh,
that was another instant. Just trying to find that instant. Going into the penultimate corner there. I think it might have been James Neve. Here we go. Contact between Clark and Neve. Sends them all into the wall, it seems.
Who was that car that got off very lucky? I think that could have been Casper de Court, who gets contacted but carries on going. We're going to see it here.
I think
there's a car just on the
on the outside, yeah.
On the outside, I think that was Casper de Court, who gets contacted. Very lucky to get away with that. We'll see if that was the case.
Oh, that's not a good camera choice.
Oh no, it's the 107 of Fisher.
Yeah. Got away with that, and I think Adam McNally actually got away with that quite considerably as well. Let's go with Adam McNally here. This is his view. Ooh, big damage. Wasn't a meatball because he's still classified in the results.
He almost lost out to Michael Seal, but sent it into the final corner. So great stuff from Adam McNally. Just see him dragging it up to the line. Didn't lose out in positions. Actually gained from the two ahead that had contact. Very close at the line though, and we will now go for the spinning wheel actually first before going through the results. Find out where Dave Chapman will start the fourth and final race of the evening here at Oulton Park.
Well, thankfully, ladies and gentlemen, we will be able to see the spinning wheel through the fog. So we'll go for it, find out who is on pole position, or what is the reverse grid, should we say, for the final race. It's 27, so another 27 reverse grid ready for this final race of the night.
So 27 is the number that's been pulled out the hat or spun from the wheel. Dave Chapman, he'll be starting all the way from, at the very most, 27th place, or however many drivers are flipped around in order, being classified as finishing for the evening, considering we have 28 drivers, essentially a full reverse grid. Lee Holmes there in second place, ahead of Andy McEwen, close to the line between the pair of them, with Jason Cooper, 5-Star Motorsport, in fourth place, ahead of Michael Seal, Adam McNally, Adam Delmont, Nick Clibbins, Tom Griffiths, Casper de Court, Andy Thompson 11th, ahead of Luke Cooper, Glenn Humberston, James Neve, Craig Cockrell, Craig Schill, Harley Moss, Douglas Stewart, Lars Fisher, Fiona Siddons, Simon Robson, Liam Stokestone, Brian Stewart, James Clark, Ashley Stimpson, one lap down, still score points, and it is actually Mr. Stimpson who will be on reverse grid pole position, 25th place, 25 cars inverted from race 3 into race 4, which sees a front row of Ashley Stimpson and James Clark, with Mark Oliver, Ryan Main and Sam Smith all classified as non-finishers. So, fourth race for reverse grid. What a way to round out the night, Alex.
It's going to be nice. It's going to be nice and exciting to watch. Hopefully we have another foggy race. But I hear sunset might be on the cards as we're heading towards the end of the day here at Oulton Park. But as for the grid, yeah, you mentioned James Clark on the front. He was actually involved in that instant at the end there. So it's a big advantage for him for this race here. He could have done without losing those points. Is surely what he's... those points lost, should we say, in race 3 then, through that instant. But a big opportunity for James Clark here to make up a lot of lost work there.
Yeah, definitely. It's interesting to see what's going on in that race. But, of course, James Clark, good chance to bounce back and score some good points. But no drivers seem to be coming through for an interview after that third race. So, me and Alex, we're going to go for a short break before all of the action in the fourth race, because I don't know you, but my voice needs to recharge, Alex. We'll see you all on Absolute Sim Racing in a little while.
Signs of life no more. I put your love under the knife. Leave me to die here all alone. No signs of life no more. No, a crying dove may never fly. It's black and white. Yeah. Black and white. Oh, 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 oh. It's black and white. Black and white, just let me go. It's only right. For all I know, it's only matter. It's calico, it's black and white. White, white, white. Just let me go. It's only right. For all I know, it's only matter. It's calico, it's black and white. White, white, white. It's black and white. Yeah. Black and white. Oh, 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 oh. It's black and white. It's black and white.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Absolute Sim Racing. Oulton Park is picturesque in its own right, but we've got a lovely sunset to accompany the drivers and all of the action for the final race of the evening here at the 11th round of 12 for this BSR SIM3D MX5 trophy. What a meeting it has been. Alex, we were talking a little bit in terms of the break about driver of the round. A few names were floated around, but you haven't really got a concrete answer for who's going to come out on top, so that might all become apparent in this fourth and final race.
Yeah, I think this one's going to be the deciding factor for that all-important award at the end of the night. And there's been, well, the three main championship protagonists have definitely stood out, but I don't think all three of them have had a perfect night, let's just say. Jason Cooper with a breakthrough win in race 2, but didn't go so well in race 1. Casper de Court didn't have such a good race 2, but race 1 went very well from him. Adam McNally has been here and there, but hasn't quite hit up into the top positions just yet in this round, so a lot remains to be seen. We've also seen a very good night from Tom Griffiths. He's been hovering around the top 10 and gaining a lot of positions throughout the night. But yeah, help us out if you're watching on YouTube on Absolute Sim Racing TV. Help us out with this one, and I'm sure we'll decide very soon.
Yeah, it would be good to figure out who is going to be one of the candidates for driver of the round. But before we do that, we need to run you through the starting order for the fourth race. Ashley Stimpson on pole ahead of James Clark, with Brian Stewart third, Liam Silkstone in fourth, with Simon Robson fifth, Fiona Siddons, Lars Fisher, Douglas Stewart, Harley Moss and Craig Schill rounding out the top 10. Craig Cockrell starts 11th ahead of James Neve, Glenn Humberston, Luke Cooper, Andy Thompson, Casper de Court, Tom Griffiths, Nick Clivins, Adam Delmont, Adam McNally, Michael Seal, Jason Cooper, Andy McEwen, Lee Holmes, and race 3 victor Dave Chapman starting all the way down in 25th place ahead of Mark Oliver, Ryan Main and Sam Smith rounding out the field. So you can see several drivers all taking to the grid. Lots of cars there awaiting the starters' orders. The marks getting ready to come out. The sunset there from the picture as the headlights flare through for this fourth and final race of the evening. Lights come on, they will go out, and for the final time here at Oulton Park, we go racing. And it's a good start from Ashley Stimpson again into turn 1. That outside line, more rubbered in. Very important on this circuit, more than most, it seems, especially on the cooler tyres. Both cars running wide, Stimpson and Clark. Stimpson with a poorer exit, Clark looking down through Cascades to find track space to look for a move, but yeah, early days. Better to think better of doing such a move. As at the back we see, oh, big moment, Craig Schill off down through Cascades, heavy damage to the front of the car. He's going to have to nurse that back to the pits, but suspension damage as well. Well, this things means that his race will end much sooner than planned. So Clark now up into the lead of the race, getting ahead of Ashley Stimpson. Something must have happened coming through Island Bend. Going to see if maybe there was a replay of that later on, but for now we're going to watch all of the cars fight their way across the hilltop straight. As further back, look at the sea of orange, look at how many cars are close together. You can see so many cars all fighting one another. This was the move for the lead then. James Clark, it was down into Island Bend, had the run coming out of Cascades, centered down the inside, not fought hard by Ashley Stimpson, choosing not to get involved in the squabbles, as it's Chapman right up behind McEwen for 20th place. Both those drivers looking to make their way up the order sooner rather than later. Coming out of Cascades, there's big moment. Contact onto the side of the 79. That's Douglas Stewart, sent wide all the way through Druids. Another car off. That's one of the Excite cars.
McNally.
That's Adam McNally. Crucial for the championship. That is Adam McNally off the circuit into the tyre barriers. He's able to get it going. Rejoins the track. Rejoins the action safely. But that is a huge blow to the barriers and a huge blow to his championship hopes. We're going to see on board. He gets a tap up the rear, tries to recover it. It looked like one of the 88 Tech cars. Might have been Lee Holmes.
I think
it was.
Lee Holmes, yes. Well, that's a big turn in the championship. All three of the championship protagonists have had a major incident in tonight's racing. McNally, de Court and Cooper. It's been quite the night for them. as we continue on with the top three here. Lars Fischer joining in with this battle for the top three. And right in the middle there, AM category driver Ashley Stimpson holding on very, very well here indeed.
Yeah, Stimpson's doing a very good job so far this race. But to keep Lars Fischer at bay is going to be very difficult. All of those 5-star motorsport drivers race very well as a reason why they are the top team in this championship, because they just consistently score very high points. But look at Stimpson. Our driver isn't hanging about. He wants to go for the lead. Do you know what? He is going for the lead. He swings it through and takes first place, but not for long, because Clark is going to fight it through. There's contact coming through Nickelbrook in the background. A car off the circuit. But we're going to follow this right at the front. Clark and Stimpson trading places, edging each other out into Druids, swinging it around the outside. Is Stimpson going to do it? There's contact on the exit. The two squabble. Fischer is trying to find a way through, but it's held up. It's like a car park, a rolling roadblock for him as he's forced down to the inside now, boxed in, but gets the position done. Great move from Fischer, who can now set his sights on James Clark. Really disappointing for Stimpson, who wasn't able to take advantage, as there's more drama now coming into Lodge. Several drivers making up places. McEwen having a bit of a fight with, I think that was Lee Holmes just on the exit. You can see the two of them side by side. McEwen edging it out, though, into Old Hall.
I was keeping an eye on the standings as we were watching the top battle there. There was a lot of drivers moving up and down the field. McNally still down there in 23rd, but we saw Simon Robson drop down to 19th place. As well as Sam Smith dropping down the order as well, I believe. But a big line of MX5 cars coming out of Cascades here. And to keep an eye on the main championship protagonist in the pro category, Jason Cooper here in 9th place with 13 places gained. That is exactly what he needs to be catching up with his rival, Casper de Court, up here in 4th position. Could this be another win tonight for de Court? He's got the winner, the leader, in his sights.
Yeah, it was a very good race from Andy McEwen last time out to get third, and he's having a good one now as well, up into 10th place after getting through on Brian Stewart down into Island Bend. He's only just behind Jason Cooper. Both those two drivers making up 13 places. Both of them having a very good evening's haul of points, even with the earlier pit starts and starting from the back from Andy McEwen. He's having a pretty decent night, but he's already got driver of the round last time out. We can't spoil him too much. We've got to give it to, we've got to share the love around to some of those drivers, which was favoured. And I think Ashley Stimpson, if he can hold on to a podium, he could be in with a great shot of this, the AM driver, but he's squabbling here. Casper de Court going down the inside of Stimpson and takes the position, or does he? Because look at the fight back from the AM driver all the way through as Fischer gets up into the lead of the race. But look at this, side by side for third. AM driver against pro. And you know what? Stimpson hanging it around the outside isn't backing out. Look at the side-by-side banging wheels, banging doors, coming down through Cascades. Now inside line for Ashley Stimpson. He holds on to third. Great defence there.
Well, he's no slouch, is he, Stimpson? That is a brilliant, brilliant defending against what could be the championship leader after tonight. Casper de Court really, really having to work hard and is actually stretching away first and second, headed by Lars Fischer and James Clark. And we can actually probably see the instant again between, not the instant, the overtake between the two. This is back at Lodge Corner. And it was just as simple as Lars Fischer up the inside of James Clark, finding his way through. Nice and simple there. Back towards the battle for third here. Stimpson still ahead. And in fact, Casper de Court has dropped back. So we'll see what happened to him. There's an off track somewhere. It's through the hairpin. Oh, contact with Stimpson, and it's sent him out wide. Very lucky to avoid going off towards the tyres then, but both got away with it fairly unscathed. Casper de Court only losing one position as a result.
Strange contact as well. Don't think that was anything deliberate from either driver. A little bit of netcode that unfortunately de Court comes worse off from. Stimpson, though, has lost touch slightly to James Clark, so it is just a two-horse race out in front between Fischer and Clark for the race lead. For this, though, for third place, de Court and Stimpson battling hard, battling fair, though, as well. That's crucial. They need to make sure they don't get involved in mistakes, especially for de Court, who has a championship to think about. Can't afford any penalties, can't afford to start the final round of the championship with an exclusion from qualifying or pit starts, because that could be absolutely catastrophic for his title hopes. Look at Luke Cooper, though, down through Cascades he goes, splitting Cooper and McEwen.
Just want to check a replay of Luke Cooper there, because he went off going through the old hall head there. I'm not sure if it was contact, if he went off himself. By the looks of it, he went off himself, utilising all 15 of his instant points available to him, although I think that was much slower as he lost position to Adam Delmont. Let's catch up with the live action as Luke Cooper is dropping down a few places. Coming out of the hairpin there, he has really lost out to other drivers.
Something might have happened through Island Bend. I think McEwen was looking for a move. Maybe there was a little bit of contact. We've seen it time and time again. Let us have a cheeky little look. Oh no, it wasn't. Yeah. But there's nothing in that. That's the smallest bit of contact between McEwen and Cooper.
I think it was net code as well.
Yeah, it was tiny contact. Nothing really in it. A net code. All of a sudden, Cooper regains the control of the car, gets on the power, and then the rear end slides out. So unfortunate for Luke to be on the receiving end of a little bit of net code, but he's a quick driver. He'll dust himself off and have a go at Dave Chapman before too long. Harley Moss, though, Pro-Am driver, definitely showing his adaptability. Was an Am driver at the start of the season, then moved up to Pro-Am. Definitely a real contender for the championship, you have to say.
Moved through the categories and is now contending with the pro category drivers. So not a bad outing here from Harley Moss, showing his development, as you said. But another driver I definitely want to point out for tonight, Tom Griffiths, he's having a tremendous night tonight. Has been contending for the top spots in most races tonight.
Yeah, it's the consistency that's really served him well. But oh my word, curse of the commentator, Alex, what have you done?
Yeah,
that's on you.
I'll take the blame for that one. Oof. We'll take another look at that. That was staying in the middle of the track as well as other drivers come into the back of Griffiths.
I think he was trying to hold escape, but was just tapped before he could pull out.
Let's take another look at this, see if we can get a little bit closer to Tom Griffiths. Oh, the back end comes around, we're slipping it on the grass on the outside there, and collect Adam Delmont. And I think it was a year one car. Was it McEwen he collected?
No, it wasn't. I think it was Maine.
It was.
The 66 of
Maine.
Maine.
Oh dear, that's not what you want. Coming around the corner and then so all of a sudden there's a car just sitting still in the middle there. There might have been an issue for Griffiths there, but his race over just when we thought it was going very, very well.
Yeah, not the best, especially down through Cascades. It's hard to see visibility through that corner, so you can understand how the contact happened as well after the fact with the stationary car. It's difficult to really judge what a car is doing when you get a yellow flag there. Maybe it would have been smarter to have backed out a little bit more, but of course, in an ideal world, the car will have been pulled off the circuit before you arrive with the stricken driver holding escape. Look at this though, Delmont squabbling, trying to fight through on Humberston. Humberston with a great run though, holds the inside line. There's a spinner in front, and that's Smith.
Heavy damage as well, and I think he's lost it himself on the outside of Lodge too much and sends it into the tyres. That is a big game over. Yeah, that one hurts, that does, even through the sim. But Sam Smith is going to report to the pits and retire from this race, presumably. That's such a shame for him. We were talking about Adam Delmont. He's actually really struggling. He lost about 5 places on one straight on when we were just watching him. The damage on the front of the car visible. You can see there that is costing him a lot of pace, and he's just going through the motions here, trying to keep as high a position as he can with what's left of his car.
He's flat out through Island Bend, which is something you never want to see when you've got that amount of straight line speed damage, that you have to go foot flat to the floor and still make Island Bend without any real troubles. It's going to be very difficult, I think, for him to get any really meaningful points out of this round, out of this race, unfortunately. But further towards the front, Lars Fisher and James Clark again fighting up towards the front. If it wasn't for some of the incidents James Clark has been involved in, he'd definitely be a contender for driver of the round. One of the contenders, most of the contenders we've said that going to come into this as driver of the round haven't really had the best race for, so it's all up in the air. We might have to think about things after the checkered flag drops, but this is still a great fight we've been treated to. Lars Fisher, James Clark fighting up there with Casper de Court. What a drive he's had. Definitely good for his championship hopes, up 13 places up inside the podium, and you know what, he could be able to tag along to this fight and snatch something even more from this, possibly even a race victory.
Yeah, if James Clark and Lars Fischer can get battling, then it might be good news for Casper de Court. But there's still, Lars Fischer is not necessarily in the fight for the championship. He could be after tonight, depending on how good a round he's had. But Casper de Court might be whispering in Lars Fischer ear in the Discord chat saying, slow this guy down for me so I can catch up and perhaps take more points out of this round. That could be on the minds of the 5-star motorsport drivers as they approach the tail end of the night, the tail end of the race.
Very rarely, though, do we see team orders coming through from 5-star. They usually work together for the first sort of 12 or so minutes, and then about this time is when we see all of that planning get thrown out the window and all of the action kicks off. So we are on to the second to last lap. When we come up to the line, it will be the final time for these drivers at Oulton Park to tour around this circuit, fighting together for track position. Following Nick Clibbins now, who's closing in on Michael Seal, who himself is closing in on Lee Holmes. A good close fight for final place inside the top 10. Going through Druids now. Cars dicing and battling with one another. Dicing and battling up in front as well as Fischer gets a very nice run out of Lodge Corner, extending his advantage to Clark, who made slightly hard work of it, missing the apex, carrying a bit too much speed in. The slipstream closes the gap back down now into Old Hall for the final time this race. At racing speed, you can see Clark using the exit of the curve, using those one exits to great effect to gain time on Clark. He's been having a clean race up until now, so he has those incident points in the bank to use to his advantage again. Good run through Cascades. Won't be looking to make a move into Island Bend, instead applying the pressure, trying to get it lined up, coming out of Shallow Oil Corner. Such a crucial part of the lap to make your gains. You can see the different lines, and look at this. It's slightly wider to then get a later apex to get the power down nice and early, and it's a brilliant drive out of the corner from Clark. This could be it. This could be James Clark's way to take the race victory here, right up behind Fischer. Fischer, who goes defensive down on the inside, but such is the drive from James Clark. He's going to have his nose ahead. Coming down into Knickerbrook now for the final time. Wheel to wheel, nose to nose. Hard on the brakes. Who's going to blink first? James Clark sweeps around the outside. Great move. He set that beautifully, coming out of Shell Oil Corner and up through Clay Hill. He is now in the lead of the race. Only Druids and Lodge to come. And James Clark could see himself standing on the top of the podium, but Lars Fischer, he's not going to back down. He's going to focus completely on the exit of the corner and try and look for a lunge down into Lodge. Is he going to get it to stick? Is he going for it? No, he can't. So James Clark, just one more corner to go, coming up the rise through Deer Leap, and he will be leaping for joy in the cockpit as he sees the checkered flag greet him. In the final race of the evening, James Clark is going to take race victory. And you know what? He might have just redeemed himself. He might just be driver of the round from that.
You know what? I'm going to decide for you, Ed. That is definitely solidified his grab on driver of the day for me. That move contends with McEwen's move earlier on in the night for move of the night. That was superb. To take the win in the dying moments of the race when it really mattered, his last opportunity, you've got to say, he took it, and he took it well there. And it has been a good night for James Clark, barring the few incidents here and there, but most drivers have been involved in an incident here and there tonight. Brilliant, brilliant racing at the end there between the two. Good respect between the two, and a brilliant, brilliant way to finish it off for James Clark.
Yeah, definitely. We do love a bit of a redemption story, don't we? And that was one that rivals Hollywood. James Clark coming through, facing adversity in all of those races, but what a move that was. He set it up beautifully. You could see, couldn't you, when he was a little bit wide through Old Hall, he knew what he was doing. He got that later apex, got the power down brilliantly, and sealed the deal into Nick around the outside. We're going to see a good shot of it here, coming down into the corner where you can make or break your lap time. He sends it through, so confident on the brake, so confident that he has the chance to go for the apex. He's carried enough speed to get it to stick. Brilliant stuff from James Clark. And you can see on board wheels, Lars Fischer, he's trying to fighting it in vain, but into the corner, he just isn't able to break that little bit later by holding that inside line. James Clark has faith in the car, and you know what? He takes that move brilliantly. So great fight between the pair of them. Good, respectful driving that sees James Clark take race victory. Casper de Court as well. Try a lot on him. He's done what he needs to do for the championship, secure third place. and extend his advantage to Adam McNally and Jason Cooper. But into the final round with drop scores being applied, who knows what the championship has in store going into the final round of the championship at Hungaroring. And Alex, I'll let you do the honours this time of running through the finishing order in the final race of the night.
Oh, thank you very much, Ed. Well, at the top of the standings, James Clark, our driver of the day, in the 94 car for Swift Cooper, takes the win in this fourth race. Fourth different winner of the night as well, so a very entertaining night of racing. Lars Fischer just missing out on that win at the end by 0.157 of a second. Second place for him. Casper the Court, definitely a second place contender, runner-up contender for driver of the day, but a third place for him. In third there with Jason Cooper in fourth position. Ashley Stimpson for the AM category, first in category but in the top 5 overall, a brilliant result by him. Sixth place for Dave Chapman, who was up front battling amongst top spot, and a race 3 winner as well, so a good comeback through the field for him. 19 places gained to take 6th. Andrew McEwen in 7th with Harley Moss in 8th. Luke Cooper takes 9th position from Lee Holmes in 10th. Michael Seal takes 11th from Nick Clibbins in 12th. Glenn Humberston, 2nd of the AM category, in 13th with Simon Robson 14th. Adam Delmont 15th. Andy Thompson takes 16th from Mark Oliver in 17th. Adam McNally, with a disappointing race for him, involved in an incident earlier on, takes 18th. 19th for Brian Stewart, followed by Craig Schill. In 21st is Douglas Stewart, followed by Sam Smith, who had an incident earlier on in the race, as did Tom Griffiths, the one we watched, where he was getting close to the front of the pack. 23rd for him in the end. Ryan Main in 24th, who was collected by the straggling car of Tom Griffiths. Craig Cockrell in 25th. James Neve in 26th. Liam Silkstone in 27th. And Fiona Siddons in 28th.
So that was a very exciting bit of racing here, and who knows what's going to happen into Hungaroring. The drivers are very close together in terms of points, in terms of where it all comes. I've seen that it's actually Jason Cooper now who's leapfrogged Adam McNally into second place in the standings here. So that's just provisional, of course, with potential penalties being applied. But still, yeah, being very good for Five Star Motorsport to make it 1-2, whichever order it is, be it Casper de Court or Jason Cooper into the final. But you know Jason, he's going to be going into that last round hungry to defend his crown.
Yeah, absolutely. What a championship fight we've got ahead of us at the fairly new to iRacing Hungaroring circuit. Going to be very, very interesting indeed.
Yeah, it will be. There'll be so much action. Only 4 races to go. One more evening's worth of racing in the SIM3D BSR MX5 trophy before we can crown both the overall Pro-Am and Am championships. All of them going down to the final round, which is brilliant to see. Each one wide open for the taking. It's all going to come down to that last race, that last round of action. No drivers coming through to have a word with us though, Alex, so I think it might be time for us to go. We'll stay a little while longer, see if anyone fancies a chin wag with either of us, because we like to talk with the drivers, like to get some insight on how all the action went for them, because it was a pretty chaotic round at Oulton Park, but that's why we love it. That's why we love Oulton Park. It's a narrow circuit, it's a proper British club racing circuit, and we've had proper British club racing action.
Yeah, it's what makes Oulton Park so difficult is 2 things: how narrow it is and how bumpy it is. And we saw all of that perhaps take quite a play in what happened tonight. A lot of drivers really gambling for overtakes as well. And when there's no chicanes at Oulton Park as well, there's a lot less braking zones, which means we're going to see a lot of drivers, going through corners side by side, which we saw tonight. And we saw plenty of great racing out of that, but what we saw with that was a fair few incidents as well. The stewards might be busy after this one, although I think we've said that about every race this season.
Yeah. And do you know what? We do have drivers coming in for the interview room asking you shall receive, and I think I will bring in, let's have a word with AM class victor in that 4th and final race. Let's not AM class, rather Pro-Am class. It's Harley Moss that we're going to bring in. Harley, welcome to the comms box. That was a very frenetic evening's racing, but you come out of it with the AM class victory in race 4. You've got to be pretty chuffed with that.
Yeah, I'm very, very happy with how the final race of the night went, getting the win in Pro-Am. Didn't even realise until I looked at the standings afterwards, watching back the broadcast, when you were reading out the final standings, that I actually won Pro-Am. I was just focused on my race and trying to keep some of the faster guys behind me for as long as I could, to try and get myself back in contention for the title. Yeah,
that's the thing. It's easy to get the lines blurred, isn't it, when you're in action, because a lot of the drivers we've noticed don't really pay too much attention to the different number plates and the different coloured wing mirrors. They race with anyone as they say fit. I'm guessing you were the same, Harley.
So this week and next week, 100%. That's how I'm going to be racing. But like the first 10 weeks of the season, I was definitely just racing, looking where my championship competitors were, because I knew that I wasn't ever going to be towards the top of the overall standings. I just had a plan in mind every week, just try and beat the people in my class, or get as close to them in my class as I can, and work it from there.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we worked in. Talk us through the this Oulton Park circuit, what it was like to race at, because we know it's a narrow circuit, but so are the MX5s. They're not the biggest of beasts. How sort of chaotic was it racing in a huge field?
I mean, generally, I think Oulton Park as a whole is quite a chaotic track. There's not many major overtaking zones. There's definitely a couple of points on the track that you shouldn't be trying to pass on or going too wide. I think the main one is the big kink going down into the long sweeping right hand hairpin sort of thing. Can't think of the corner number, but you'll probably know about the way I've described it.
I think I know what you mean. Yeah.
Island curve.
I think it's you come down Cascades and you've got the long straight. After
Island Bend. Yeah. Island
that
Bend.
one. You definitely don't want to be going too wide. If one of you doesn't back out, there's going to be tears, and I had tears in race 3, I think it was.
Yeah, there was definitely some of that, but of course, with a track that's so difficult to overtake, drivers can get lured into seeing a gap and going for it, which I guess is fair enough. But definitely, I think stewards could be busy on the Thursday night when they had to run through all of the incidents and protests that have been brought to their attention. But regardless of all of that mess, congratulations, Bud, on your AM class, or Pro-Am rather, class victory. And is there anybody you'd like to dedicate that to?
Might sound a bit cheesy to some people, but my grandparents' dog passed away yesterday evening, and I wasn't even sure if I was going to be racing tonight. So I'm going to dedicate that win to our old friend Pip.
No, I don't think it's cheesy at all. I think a lot of people who've had pets pass away know that it does take a lot of toll on you. So make credit to coming in and racing, and definitely glad you're able to get a good result off of the back of that.
Yep, so am I. Now you've asked me to dedicate something, sort of just hit me a little bit harder, but yeah.
No worries. But
thank you guys for that.
We're very glad to have been able to broadcast your great win, though. Great win.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go now, otherwise I will start getting a bit emotional.
No worries, mate. We totally understand. Thank you for coming in and having a word with us, and yeah, congratulations, bud.
Thank you guys for always putting out an amazing broadcast every week, and I will hopefully see you with that Pro-Am title in my hand at the end of next week.
We'll see, won't we? We'll see coming into Hungaroring. Best of luck, bud.
Thank you. See you later, guys.
Lovely interview that with Harley Moss. Hopefully he's done Pip proud. That was a very good race, even with all of that in the background considered. Great drive from Harley there. And Alex, I think we have one more driver, and I'll let you do the honours of chatting with Craig Schill.
Craig Schill joins us in the comms box. Craig, a bit of an up and down night for yourself, an incident in race 4, but just give us a brief overview of how your night went.
Felt like a yo-yo. 1 minute it was up, next minute I was at the front of the grid, then I was at the back of it. Hard work, very hard work. But I do love this circuit.
Yeah, Oulton Park is a fantastic circuit for racing, that's for certain. But next up is the Hungaroring. I know it's a fairly new track to iRacing, but how do you feel about heading to Hungaroring? Is it a track that you are particularly looking forward to racing?
The only time I've been around the circuit is in the F3. So I have got experience of it, but that's in a car that's got downforce. So yeah, I'm looking forward to slinging the Mazda around it, I must admit.
Yeah, lots of corners at Hungaroring, so it's going to be very interesting seeing seeing these cars go around that track. So regarding the championship, now I'm not hugely aligned with how the championship is going. So how are things going heading into the final round for yourself, and what's your plan for this final round in regards to the championship?
I think last time I looked, I was lying 4th, and I was a fair way off of, oh God, Simon, I think it is in front of me. If I can repeat the wins and the podiums of this round, then I'll be happy. So basically, it's just keep it consistent and try and get as high up the grid as I can.
Absolutely, best plan of action, I would say. Before you head off, Craig, is there anyone you want to give a shout out to? Sponsors, family, anything like that?
I'm going to give a shout out to my best mate who seems to be watching a lot these days. I got him hooked on it and now he just keeps on watching. So, Phil, I know you're probably watching. Get and put the kettle on.
Good to hear, good to hear. Well, Craig, great racing tonight. We'll see you next time at the Hungaroring. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Cheers for the coverage.
No problem at all. Thank you very much.
So with that, Craig Schill exits the commentary box, and that is all the time we have for round 11 of the SIM3D BSR MX5 trophy here on Absolute Sim Racing. Be here same time, same place next week for the final round of the championship, the decider at Hungaroring, where 4 kilometers of Hungarian tarmac for 4 15-minute sprint races will decide the championship. And it's going to be a venue that will throw up some big surprises, considering it will be the first time the SR has raced at the Hungarian race circuit just outside of Budapest. So good to see how that will unfold. You do not want to miss all of the action in a week's time on Absolute Sim Racing. I've been Ed May. Joining me in the commentary box has been Alex Everett. We will see you all next time, but until then, stay safe.
at Mercedes.